Chicago's very own WGN News.
And I think that's what that vote was about yesterday in the Senate, was sending a message. It was a resolution, and it was about sending a message. And the message is, we've got to feed people who are starving. There are literally millions of people that, 2 million people that are experiencing hunger in Gaza. And that's unacceptable to all of us.
Today, Illinois Governor Pritzker addressing a vote by Congress to block arms sales to Israel if they don't allow aid into Palestine. UN agencies say people in Gaza, especially children, are facing outright famine. And Joe English is the UNICEF spokesman, joining us to talk about the dire situation that people are facing right now. Joe, good to have you in. You were here a couple of weeks ago talking about the situation in Ukraine, but in Gaza, images especially of the children, the pained expressions on their faces, waiting for relief, really wrench at the heart. Can you share some of the numbers that really tell how horrifying the story really is?
Yeah, good to be with you, Ray. Yeah, these images that we're seeing, we should not be seeing this in the 21st century. They are absolutely heartbreaking. And the pictures do far more than my words could do to illustrate the severity. But we also know that this is happening to thousands of children. And those who are probably in the worst state are those who are out of reach of the photographers, the brave photographers on the ground, the humanitarians from organizations like UNICEF. Thousands of children are suffering from severe acute malnutrition in the Strip. And these kids need dedicated special supplies, medical supplies, to be able to recover. It's not just a case of getting some food aid in. They need medicalized high protein peanut paste to save their lives, and we have to be able to get in as soon as possible to reach them.
They're dying in line. They're being killed there. This is a full-scale war. I have to ask, what can be done to alleviate this situation? A White House envoy, Steve Witkoff, is going to Hamas tomorrow to assess, but Hamas has pulled back on negotiations. What has to happen to make things tolerable there for these people that are starving?
Yeah, it's international pressure, and it's very welcome to see the highest levels of the US government really pushing on this. We have to see absolutely anyone with any power doing everything we can to say we have to be allowed to feed children. We've seen these pauses in fighting, which is welcome. UNICEF and the UN are doing all we can to scale up our response during these pauses. But if we're really going to turn this around, if we're really going to reach every child and save their lives, then we need to see a ceasefire. It needs to be a sustained end to the fighting.
I don't want to bring too much politics into this, but I want to get your impression of how the international outcry and how some nations recognizing Palestine in front of the UN will affect the situation. What are you expecting?
Yeah, so we really focus on the humanitarian situation right in front of us, which is these children. It is these children who are wasting away in front of their parents. And so what we're calling for now is we're calling for this access. We're calling for, the UN, which has been doing this work all around the world. As I've spoken to you about previously, we have the experience, we have the tools. That's what's heartbreaking. We know how to prevent malnutrition and we know how to treat malnutrition. So none of these children should be in this state, especially not when plentiful food is a matter of miles away. So it is a matter of will, and we have to be allowed to get in and reach children.
What, in your opinion, brought the spike to the point it's at today? Is it just the passage of time and just the difficulty in this whole process?
It is, we're seeing what almost 2 years of grinding conflict does to children, does to communities. I remember in the early days of this crisis speaking with parents, and they were telling us how they were exhausted mentally, physically, from the exertion of trying to keep their children safe, trying to get their children safe water, food, and we're now almost 2 years into this, and for the families as well of the hostages, that's 2 years of absolute torment. And so I think the whole world now is seeing that we have to find a way to bring this to an end. We have to find a way for a ceasefire, a release of the hostages, and organizations like the UN to be able to get in and save children's lives.
In the last 30 seconds, Joe, tell us, you mentioned how when there's a pause, UNICEF can go in. Can you tell us about those operations?
Yeah, we're getting in ready-to-use therapeutic food, which is these supplies that, as I say, malnourished children need, but also infant formula. We're getting in safe drinking water. We're getting in nappies. We're getting in, the absolute basics of life for children and families. Funding's also tight, so anyone who can go to unicefusa.org and donate as well. I've seen the difference that it makes, and it saves children's lives. It changes their lives, even in the most difficult of times.
Joe English with UNICEF once again. So glad to have you in. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Ray.